Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and have the honor of closing this event, doing a short recap on the day, on the second day of this forum. It's been a fantastic day. All the speakers, the brave contestants of the contest, and the brave judges as well, who had a very tough job today. Well done, everyone. So thank you to the speakers and the contestants and the jury members. And thank you also to the organizers. Thank you so much, Marcis. It's been a great pleasure. It's been a great conference. Thank you to the entire NGO Day team. It's been wonderful. I'll just do a very short recap on the day first. In the morning, we heard inspiring talks from the Nordic Council, the World Wildlife Foundation, Greenpeace and Public Interest Registry. All great examples of the work done for greater good, not for profit, even if their missions, mandates and sectors differ substantially. Ms. Britt Bolin from the Nordic Council talked about the work done on the very highest level through intergovernmental collaboration. We heard that even on that level, NGOs and the civil society organizations are very highly valued. And that's something we like to hear, I'm sure, all of us. Then Linda Rosengren from the World Wildlife Foundation in Finland talked about the huge and daunting challenges the humankind is facing now and in the immediate future. We had a story of the largest scale global NGO and how they tackle local issues using their strengths as a huge network. Their scientific and fact-driven approach was quite impressive. Then Mr. Juha Aromaa from Greenpeace, another huge, big environmental NGO, talked about their work. And I really appreciated how he set their goals. We will save the planet, not anything less. And I think that's, wow. I think we all share that goal, don't we? So I have to say I admire their boldness, courage and determination. And I also admire the way they want to move from words and planning and talk. Look at me talking here. Talk to action. That's great. And then Mr. Ulrich Retzlaff, Director Channel Management from the Public Interest Registry, talked about top-level domains. I don't know about you guys, but this was the first time actually when I stopped to think about the importance of this seemingly little and innocent detail on our website and presence online. But communications and brand building are, of course, things that are right at the core of the way we exist today, not insignificant at all. So many thanks for the morning speakers for these important insights. So the last but not at all insignificant part of the day and the event was the NGO Time Show. I enjoyed that extremely. It was all about action, and it was so brilliant and so good and important to hear about the work that people do on a daily basis. Fantastic. All 6 contestants showed such passion for the work they do, the deep commitment and willingness to go the extra mile and then some. Wow. This is exactly what third sector work is about, in my mind. Caring citizens joining forces to change things for the better in their own communities and also in the wider world. We focused especially on 2 topics in the contest, as you know, health and social welfare and gender equality, and I've made some remarks on these topics. We kicked off with the health and social welfare topic. First of all, many thanks to Ms. Jamie Bolling from ENIL, who gave a very powerful opening talk, very strong and eye-opening and personal account on disability. I really appreciated that. All 3 entries in this category were inspiring, ambitious and realistic in terms of implementation. I would just simply like to congratulate the winner, but all 3, I would have, I'm so happy I didn't have to make the choice. I think all 3 entries were wonderful. But I did make some observations generally on these entries. The value of partnerships and networks is something that came out very strong in all 3 cases. These relationships, they need a lot of TLC, tender loving care, to bloom, and the 3 organizations here obviously have put in a lot of effort and time to accomplish that. Volunteer work and engagement was something that came out as well. What strikes me every time I hear stories like this is the passion and the commitment and the determination and dedication of these people. It may be the cause they are working for itself, it could be the peer-to-peer work, it could be the networks, the spirit of team working you get when you work alongside people towards a common goal. And probably it's a mix of all these. Then scalability. A good pilot can be reproduced, it can be scaled up. A local small project could easily turn into a regional project, a national project, international or even global. So sharing good examples like we have done today is very important and really can make a difference. All right, that was the morning part. Then we went out to lunch, came back to talk about gender equality and society empowerment via gender equality. This topic was opened by Ms. Afkami, who was very inspiring, and thanks to her as well for the opening words. It was really good to hear of the work you do. In this second round, we had again fantastic entries. Congratulations to the winner as well as to the runner-ups. I'm not going to go to detail of their cases, but I did make a couple of remarks in general. In all of these cases, the power of women's network and solidarity across cultural boundaries made me feel quite grateful and proud. Here up north, we have fought the fight before, and I think we've come a long way on the road. We're not quite there yet, as we heard just now before. And I think it's our duty to reach out and help women across the world to get there too. Skills development and capacity building as key to empowerment. It takes more than willpower to be emancipated or empowered. Literacy, skills for active citizenship or media skills are all vital assets for a woman, for any human being for that matter, to contribute to their communities. Gender equality and education for the girls and women of this world are of key importance when we strive for fair and just societies. Then we heard success stories just before the announcement of the winners of the contest. Elina Multanen from UN Women shared powerful stories of their network, of the work they do. We heard the stories of Hilda, Babar Mama, and Sundari Devi from India. I like the way the work you do came into life with these women's stories. It was wonderful. Thank you for that. And secondly, Pia Tornikoski from Vala ry shared good tips and advice on fundraising, and that's a topic we all love, don't we? And we could never have enough advice and encouragement to do the right things when we go after money. And it's a difficult thing, and it's very useful to think things from the donor's perspective. So thank you for that lesson as well. Finally, Irina Siltanen from the Women Entrepreneurs of Finland. A great story again, a good reminder that things are not perfect in Finland either. We are quite far, but not quite there yet. The 3/4 of a euro coin sticks in my mind at least, and probably in yours as well. It's good to know that there are NGOs and support networks doing important work like this. Yes, a couple of words about the work we at the British Council do, because I think there might be some participants in the room who are not that familiar with the British Council. We are the official cultural relations organization of the United Kingdom. We are registered as a charity. We do get funding from the Foreign Office in the UK, but as of 2015 in the Europe region especially, we get nothing. We have to earn everything through partnerships and contracts like the rest of you. So we know what your worries are. We are coming there as well. Globally, we work in English teaching business. We do exams. And on the other hand, we are known for our work in arts. But there's also a third pillar to our existence, and it's called education and society. And that's the focus area here in Finland and in the Nordic countries. Within that project, we run global and international and local programs, mainly helping young people to develop their capacity and scale up their skills in active citizenship and social entrepreneurship. So we do come very close to the field we've talked about these past 2 days. And this work could never be done top-down. It always happens in partnership with local agencies, NGOs, perhaps governments, but mostly grassroots organizations, and it could never be done without them. There's no way we could find the right people, right individuals or groups, communities, and the local knowledge without working in close partnership with different organizations. I think that the two topics of today could be rephrased a bit. We could say that equality and fairness in society, by and large, would be the goal, the ultimate goal we all work towards. And we could say that active citizenship and civic engagement are the tool to make a sustainable difference. And actually that is very much the way we see the world at the British Council. One of my favorite mottos says it well, about being active citizen, being an engaged citizen. Nothing about us without us. This is used by disabled people's organizations quite widely, and it relies on the principle of participation. Nothing about us without us. I think that's brilliant, actually. How could I possibly know what you need if I don't ask you? How could I possibly plan and deliver a project or a product or a service if I didn't ask and invite you to work with me? To conclude, I'd like to take a minute to reflect a little bit on the notion of good society, or a fraction of it. The Nordic welfare model was built on active and engaged civil society, and in a bit different form, the same applies to the UK version of it. In the olden days, the society was organized into three very distinct categories or sectors. There was the big public sector, there was the powerful private sector, and there in between there was this grey zone called the third sector. Today these categories overlap and intertwine in a way it's sometimes very difficult to tell one from the other. The world has changed quite dramatically recently as the consequence of various trends, such as population mobility, affluence, high levels of education, and the shift of technology being primarily used by the authorities to boast their authority, and it's now becoming a new tool for all kinds of forms of civic action. The economic downturn that started quite many years ago and still remains to be beaten has fueled this change as resources grow very thin. In the Nordic countries, we have traditionally trusted the public sector and the democratically elected decision makers to take care of the fundamental services and structures for us, funded from the taxpayers' money. And yes, they have done a splendid job, haven't they? I've picked a few statistics to illustrate this. In 1910, the infant mortality rate in Sweden, not far away from here, was 11.5%, and today, 100 years later, it has dropped to less than 3 deaths per 1,000 live births. That's great. In Finland, the life expectancy has developed from average 45 years in the beginning of 1900s to average 80 years today. In Great Britain, the GDP per capita quadrupled over the course of the 20th century. But statistics are tricky, aren't they? This is a bit of a sideline, but I can't help myself. I will have to echo many other speakers of this conference who have told us that it's so important. It's massively important to quantify and measure the impact you do. Because in the statistics, we very seldom see anything of the work regular citizens or associations, networks and groups and organizations do. It's hidden knowledge most of the time. So let's just make a change there. Going back to the thinking of a good society and the way it's structured. In Europe, the challenge of today and of tomorrow is the scarcity of resources. If we had all the money in the world, we could do all the things in the world and not worry about it too much. But today, the heartbreakingly high rate of youth unemployment and the growing portion of elderly people in our countries in Europe will make it very difficult to turn the economic indicators on the rise again. In my opinion, it makes very little sense to even wait for the old good days, the rich days to return. Don't hold your breaths, doesn't make too much sense. I think instead we should really think of new ways of developing public services and supportive structures in our societies. In this reform, the third sector, NGOs, other civil society organizations, institutions and social enterprises can and will play a crucial role. In the UK, this process has been called the big society. I know you don't have to tell me it's controversial and it evokes all sorts of feelings and opinions, and I'm not going into that. But what I do like about it is the idea of citizens being seen as intelligent, responsible and very much able to take decisions and actively influence the way their local services and structures are produced and delivered. The NGOs, at least those that are not too big in size and complex in structure, can be more agile and slender and fix problems as they go. They are genuinely connected to the communities they serve. So there are strengths we have that the public sector might not have. This is not to say that the public sector is bad, not at all. In today's world, collaboration across sectors is of key importance. It is not about competing against each other, but to complement each other for the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time, I think, unless there is still someone who wants to say something, but I will stop here and now. Just once more, thank you everyone so much. It's been really inspiring, and I think it's been very fruitful. We all go back with loads of ideas, reinforced commitment to keep up the good work we do, and I think we all got a thick pack of business cards of new friends, so it's been a good way to connect with other people who think alike. And let's keep this new network alive and going. And fortunately, this wasn't a one-off event. It's a continuous process that has been kicked off by Marci. So it's fantastic. Thank you so much once more. Thank you to all organizers, everyone who's been involved, all the speakers and contestants and the sponsors and partners and everyone in this room. Yeah, thank you everyone, to the moderator as well. Yeah. All right, thank you. Safe travels.